AITA for not inviting my birth family to my wedding even when my sister offered to pay for them? Am I the asshole? Proud_crazy_7666. Sick. NTA. Good grief. The biological father wants to give Op away a second time. Did he think he was fostering out his 2 daughters till he was ready to claim them as his heirs? Nana Leone. 10,223. The cheek of your bio dad wanting to walk you down the aisle. What Hallmark movie syrupy nonsense has he been mainlining that he might think that you, Op, a grown woman that has declined to ever even meet him, would ever let him have such a role? Or even be invited to your wedding? Oh, yes. He thinks. I contributed sperm to create you some decades ago. Here, let me have an honored guest role in your wedding. In fact, I demand it. Op. He might have been young when you were conceived, but he did it twice. You and your sister, so close in age, knowing good and well he and bio mom didn't have the wherewithal to care for you. Once, an unplanned pregnancy can happen, but twice? And him and his daughter pressuring you. Apple tree. NTA. PP pillow princess. 739. NTA. You get to choose what place your adoptive parents have in your life. It's good that they realized that they didn't have the wherewithal to be good parents when they were kids having kids, because it sounds like that choice has given you a secure, happy upbringing. Adoption can involve a lot of big, strong feelings for adoptees, and there's often some degree of psychological trauma involved. Their choices and their mental health should be the priority. For some adoptees, that means it can run the gamut between feeling desperate to connect with the bio family and not wanting anything to do with them. None of those choices are wrong, and every adoptee needs to make the choice for themselves. Your bio family can be very important to your sister, and nobody to you. The reason she's TA here is because she's insisting that you have to want the same things she wants. And consider your genetic donors to be family. She doesn't get to decide how you relate to them any more than she gets to decide who should be your romantic partner or where you should work. It was okay for her to be excited, and okay for her to encourage you to get to know them the first time. But once you made your feelings known, she needed to stop. Callie the Blaze. 1467. When your sister gets married, she can have her bio family there. She can have her bio dad walk her down the aisle instead of her adoptive dad if she wants to. But ya know what? Your sister isn't getting married, you are. And your sister can stay in her lane. Your position on your bio family has been perfect, clear and unwavering. If your bio family is unhappy with your disinterest in ever meeting them or having anything to do with them, well, that sucks for them and they will have to manage their disappointment. This whole wedding drama over the guest list and people arguing and whining and guilt-tripping about who should be in the guest list is why some people just elope. But, Op, if you want to go through with the wedding as planned, you can firmly tell your sister you are quite willing to go through with it with one more person struck from the guest list, and that would be her. If you hear another peep out of her about her bio parents because you are sick of it, you are done. And good for you for having security at your venue. NTA. Euthanasia 63. 815. NTA. But I don't see this improving anytime soon. What's really sad is that if you choose to have children, you'll never be able to let them be in your sister's care even for a few hours. As you know, she'll run straight to the birth parents so they can build the bond. JBB 2002902. 276. NTA. Tell your sister to stop or she will be uninvited to the wedding. And your birth parents are nasty also for continuously writing to you when you have made your stance clear. V2 Den. 94. NTA. They can blame being too young on having your older sister. You were born 3 years later. If they weren't ready to have a child and already made the mistake once, they clearly did not learn their lesson. And it sounds like they not going to learn lessons now. How on earth your bio father thinks he has business walking you down the aisle is beyond me. He gave you away at birth. He doesn't get the privileges of being a father if he gave 2 children away. Hold your ground on this. 1. And your sister needs to let this go, or she's going to create as big a distance between you and her as exists with your bio parents. Kipster Dude. 387. AITA for telling my parents that my husband that if they don't like our lifestyle they can leave. Quote, am I the asshole? Bitter Psychology 6426. NTA, but you are living a lifestyle they simply can't understand. You've been smart with your money, didn't have a bunch of children to pay for, have good educations, good jobs. It sounds as if you've tried to explain, without giving them info that is none of their business. You went a bit far with the you can leave, as they did not have much choice at that point. When you talk to them, eventually, just tell them, nicely, that your finances and what you spend are not up for discussion. My son and in-law have a lifestyle similar to yours, and unlike your parents, I am so happy. They are able to enjoy life without worries about finances. Omi 24. 5326. My mill believes that our chosen professions are less than, and when we bought our first house together questioned if we could afford it. When we bought our first business, she also questioned that. When we sold it years later and took 9 months off, she questioned that. When we sold our house and bought a new business in another state, she questioned that. Some people cannot comprehend that doing things your way is the best way for yourselves. P.S. Still killing it lol. Amberlicious 35. 63. My own parents could never understand the concept of quality of life. I watched them work themselves to the bone and still feel like failures because they weren't working 24/7. Trying to explain that I work to live and not live to work was like speaking Danish to English speakers. They had no common vocabulary to go on. Seems to me that you and your husband have taken care of the essential things like good grown-ups. They should be proud that they helped create such responsible adults. Condessa Stace. 406. NTA. But if you want to avoid hurt feelings going forward, it sounds like you really do, then learn some gray rocking strategies. And make a habit of those being your go-to, I guess. Since you're trying to make peace and make amends, it would be counterproductive to point out to them that choosing a hotel when given the option of that or dropping the damned subject was completely lacking in any financial foresight and a waste of money. Born Eggplant 8313. 975. One of our sons takes us to different places to eat when we visit him, and it's so nice because we can concentrate on talking to each other and not have to worry about cooking and cleaning up afterwards, and we get to try so many new places. We really like it, and we're retired and around 70. Sure, we worked hard like your parents did, but we've found a softer side of life that we really enjoy. Jazz-like Election 787. 214. For NTA, what you said wasn't out of line. It was you almost properly setting a boundary with consequences. Next time be even more direct. If you want to discontinue conversations about our finances, we will ask you to leave. You have nothing to apologize for. They are guests in your home. And if you don't want to be harangued about your finances, you don't have to be. Stellar Phenom 420. 469. NTA. You invited your parents into your home. They were comfortable. You were making them breakfast and treating them to meals, I assume at decent restaurants. You assured them that you are financially accomplished and secure, and they were still being critical, and instead of calming down when you laid a very basic ultimatum, For people who were disrespecting you in your own home, they chose to leave. There are apologies owed here, and they are overwhelmingly from your parents. If my children were doing well enough to be debt-free and able to hire a housekeeper and invite me for a vacation, I would be jumping for joy, not crabbing at them to do their own laundry. Eclectic Spree. 261. AITA for telling all my kids it's so my inheritance and not using it to get them out of debt. Am I the asshole? 1 Sprinkles 3801. If your mother wanted them to have money, she would have put it in her will. You told them that they would have to pay for their own tuition. They are adults. You provided for them when they are children. But they chose to attend their schools and accepted that it would put them in debt. NTA. M.D. Thomas. 7704. Getting old is expensive. I am currently watching my in-laws come to the realization that their net worth will only cover 3.5 years in a decent assisted living facility. Never mind a good memory care home, and their current living situation is fast becoming unsustainable. You are going to need that money. Tell your children exactly that. It would not be fair to expect them to take care of you in your old age. And you don't want to end up in a facility that accepts Medicare alone. This inheritance is part of your retirement plan. If there's anything left when you pass on, they should consider themselves lucky. AITA, NTA. Diazes _ in my hair. 266. Info. How old are your kids? I am nearly 40 and grew up in a time when college was pushed heavily on students and student loans were seen as a must. As a teacher, I see the expectations have shifted for students. I am not sure if this is true of all schools, but the school I work in pushes for students to take on an apprenticeships for the trades or start out in community college. At the end of the day, it is your money, and you made it clear to your children that higher education was their responsibility. But I also remember not getting much information on alternatives to going straight into debt from a 4-year school in order to be successful. Lost all doubt. 86. 1040. Anyone I've ever known who has borrowed against their inheritance, or somehow got it early, has led a financially irresponsible life. This isn't some kind of emergency. They just want to make their life easier with your money. Follow your mother's wishes and enjoy your retirement. Foreign Cow -1189. 513. My view may be skewed by the fact that my family lived paycheck to paycheck, and so I knew that paying for my own college tuition, entirely through student loans, was the only option for me. But NTA. It wouldn't even occur to me to ask my parents to spend their inheritance on me. In fact, when my grandmother died several years ago, when I had over $100,000 in student loan debt, it never did occur to me. JJ12622. 126. My mom passed several years ago. She was in memory care prior to hospice. I was shocked and appalled at the cost. Luckily, she had a small amount of money saved from selling our family home. It was in bad shape, so it sold to a flipper and she netted around $80K. I cannot tell you how quickly that money disappears when you're paying for long-term care. When she passed, we had maybe 9 months of funds left before we would be dependent on state care. My sister and I would have done everything possible to prevent that from happening because the standards aren't great. They aren't great even when you're paying privately, but still better than state-funded care. I loved my mother dearly but was truly grateful she passed when she did. Between the funding issue and the progression of her dementia, the financial matter prompted me to begin saving for my own retirement and long-term care. I was ignorant until going through it with her. Potentially gift your kids a tiny amount, like 1 or 2K each. They can use towards a bill or fun item, but then save the rest. Have a long talk with them, if you choose, about the reality of elder care costs. They may not realize it now, but they will be grateful when they aren't faced with making tough decisions on the level of care they can ensure you receive down the road, if needed. Ultimately, you don't owe them anything, justification, education on elder care, or money, but it may help ease tension. You are doing the right thing. Good luck. Relative_seaweed 8617. 40. So question. What was the point of I let them see the house when they got nothing out of that other than looking at a nice house that would never be theirs because you reselling it? And b. What was the point, especially in letting them know the sell amount, when you knew off top you wouldn't share or want to have this conversation? You coming to Reddit and asking, but it's like I could see if these were your estranged siblings. They your children and you condemning them in your choice of words for wanting better for their lives. In reference to good higher education universities. Glad for your youngest in community college. If they only went to community, that means they only get an AA, and that severely limits their job pool, compared to your other children who are obviously striving for bachelor's degrees and higher. There is a reason why people strive for higher education, and it's not because they want to be students for most their life. A lot of kids dream of their parents paying for their schooling. You didn't have the means to before. This gave them hope. I don't think it's much deeper than that. They get over it. They know it's not their money. That's why they're upset, because they hoped you share anyway. Your kids will be in debt now and hopefully get high-paying jobs that will bring back investment by 10x, and that will be their money. This post just reads weird. You are NTA for the title because again, it is your money. You are TA when it comes to life lessons, because in situations like this you will always be recommended to just cash out and keep quiet. Because people are obviously going to ask, justified or not, sharing and then being confused that the expectation is that you willing is what will get you in this situation. So in the future, you probably should keep to yourself. Help me biscuits. 969. AITA for not giving my deadbeat father the inheritance left by my grandpa that would have been his. Normally? Am I the asshole? Adventurous Belt 664. Grandpa knew what he was doing. You said Grandpa knew he had other children, but left his first two, and drained the bank account and purposely acted in a way to not have any financial responsibility to you, sister or mom. Grandpa specifically left it to you and your sister. Your deadbeat dad is facing the consequences of his actions now. XA0NTA. ISO Coffee and Wine. 6077. NTA. And if your aunts and uncles are so bothered by it, let them hand over their share of the inheritance. People are very generous with your money, but not their own. Your father made his bed. Your grandfather is making sure he lies in it. Your grandfather wrote his will this way in a very determined manner. Honor his wishes and how he wanted his money to be distributed. Hand over nothing. Sad Flatworm 1436. 434. Or, you NTA. You can consider his share of the inheritance that you and your sister received as all the back child support he owed you plus the money he stole from your mother. XA0 greater than my father has a child who has a life-limiting medical condition that is very sad, but it is not your responsibility. Your donor had a responsibility to you and your sister that he blatantly ignored. He doesn't deserve your inheritance now. Ditto head forever. 727. NTA. Honor your granddad's wishes and keep the money. Do you even know if the child's medical issues are genuine? You owe them nothing. But if you ever want to help, find a way to give directly to the hospital. Never let your dad get his hands on it. Merlin Biggs. 964. Or, NTA. Your father should have been paying your grandpa child support for you and your sister all these years, XA0 instead. He abandoned his responsibilities. XA0 An argument can easily be made that he owes Gramps estate. Thousands XA0 in support. Not the other way round. It's your father's responsibility to care for his children. XA0 He may have pushed the responsibility for you and your sister onto your grandpa, but he doesn't get to push responsibility for his other 4 kids onto you. Your grandpa was your real dad. XA0 And he knew that you and your sister were going to need his money to get your lives started. XA0 He ensured that you have what you need and that it was protected from your greedy, selfish father. Don't give your father a penny. XA0 If his siblings think he and his family are deserving, they are welcome to give him some of their own money. XA0 You are going to honor your grandpa's wishes. Teresa J.S. 134. NTA et al. Your grandpa wanted you and your sister to have his estate. It's very unfair of your deadbeat dad to try to fight things to get the money. It appears he only cares about the money, which could be why he came around when there was money he thought he could get. I am so sorry for your situation. Pulls nose hairs. 233. 30. NTA. These were your grandpa's wishes. He made sure your dad wouldn't inherit anything significant. Let your family assist your father financially if they are so worried. Relevant _ demand 7593. 73.